None of the women in my life ever talk about money. We'll talk about everything else before we talk about money. I've been bringing to the conversation about investing. Does anyone else want to learn? Hey, look at my Bitcoin. It went up, it went down, it went up, it went down. Do you feel emotional when you invest money and it does something different for the day?
I mean, women are empowered now. They've got millions of dollars. They're boss babes. Why don't they talk about money with each other?
They don't have any modeling for it.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to Stacks Over Tax. I'm Mark Lewis, and with me is the lovely Sterling Grace. Today, we're going to be talking about something really unique, especially as it applies to finance and building your stacks and trying to avoid tax. But it also applies directly to relationships. And relationships, health, personal health, and money, they're all interconnected. The big three subjects on which we're always talking and always want to improving, I hope. So this conversation, which is about being genuinely curious about your finances, your spouse or partner's finances, who they are, who you are for them. This is some of the most fundamental questions and the art of being curious that brings up all kinds of unknown expectations or unknown things that you kind of inferred or expected and they aren't happening. And then there's upsets and all kinds of other things that happen. So being curious creates the ability for us to kind of unearth all those things. And we're going to talk, I hope we have enough time to talk about some of the really cool ways in which we can have tools to be curious, to not kind of set people off and make them drive them crazy asking questions or triggering them and asking the wrong kinds of questions. So for you, Sterling, what does curiosity mean in any of these contexts?
Yeah, so I love curiosity because I think it's the energy that is that fresh and vitality energy that you have when you're starting something new. And especially when I've had a friend for a long time or a business partner for a long time, or even just ideas that I've been working on for a long time. This is one of the tools I use to kind of come at it from a different angle, to look at the other facets of it. And so I have a whole collection I actually have enormous amounts of questions. I actually have a book of questions that I keep about people. I have about 100 questions to ask men, because I think it's one of the fun games that there is to play in the world is men don't actually get asked a lot of questions where they get listened to really carefully. So I started doing that about 20 years ago, and I ask them all kinds of fun things. I know that curiosity is a really big way that when I worked in the automotive industry, that I sold cars, which was that I would have people talk about their first love, the one that got away, the one they built with their dad in the garage, and it just breeds the experience of people's values. And that's really what it comes down to, and the new things that they want to work on. Sometimes people don't have a way to talk about the new thing in their life, and curiosity definitely creates a window and an opening for that. So we should jump right in. The first question I love to talk about is, what do we always talk about? Because it's really funny how you will discover, if you start asking this of the people that you love, that you actually have a routine and a pattern around what you always talk about with that person, right? And so for Mark and I, what do we always talk about, Mark?
We talk about our friends. We talk about the people that we know all the time. We talk about how they could be doing better and things that we think they should be doing to do better. So we also talk about our business.
In a loving context, I should say.
Most of the time. Yeah, we try not to gossip. We're trying to, make things better for them. We talk about each other, like how we can better each other, like how you're doing better, but could be here. And you definitely support me in that. We talk about, of course, our business a lot, just from a business standpoint. We talk about our clients a lot as a function of talking about business. And we talk about our past, I think, a lot. I think things that we have shared together over almost 2 decades. But I don't think it's like, oh, remember when that was funny. It's always in a context of, here's how it was then, and here's how it is now. What have we learned? Who are we now? Are we better? Are we worse? And I really appreciate that.
Yeah, I do too.
What do you think we talk about all the time?
We talk about our kiddos sometimes, which is fun. You're one of the only people I talk about my daughter with, and probably vice versa for you about your son, because as we care about being parents, we talk about your music and pianos sometimes.
That's true. We do.
If I think about what we talked about for our 20 years of friendship together, like we definitely talked about music, right?
Yeah, most of that friendship, I was doing music, yes, and production. So what's coming up for me in this question, because you asked it of me, is the other side of the hand, which is, okay, we always talk about this, and either that's good or that's not. And you can do the same thing with it's, hey, what do we always look at in our budget? What do we always look at in our investing? What are we always looking at for our future projections of profits? But it brings up the other side, which is, what do we never talk about? What are the things, and maybe even parenthetically, what are the important things that we never talk about? Right? That's the other side. That's what I'm starting to notice. Does that show up for you?
Yeah, for sure. What do you never talk to me about that you talk to your men about, for instance?
Well, I can't actually say what those things are, because that's all we all keep a safe space.
Sure. Okay, never mind.
No, that doesn't work. I do talk about those things, but you and I don't talk about those things, because that's not where our relationship is. And sometimes that happens, you don't talk about even with your spouse, you don't talk about everything. There's things you don't talk about with your spouse because it's not appropriate, maybe.
For
think
sure.
I'm crazy?
Yeah, probably. What do we never talk about? What do I never talk about with you? I like being an inventor. And so we have a mutual friend that he and I spend most of our conversations are about inventing trinkets, things, objects. Like the other day I got a package in the mail, and the packaging was so good that I was completely mesmerized by it. And I was trying to figure out, like, did this get printed in America or did this get printed overseas? Because now with the tariffs, I'm a little bit more in tune with, like, what can I get done in America and what can't I get done? I would not necessarily ever tell you that, but it was like something that was out in my house when you were here recently. And I thought about that. I was like, oh, that's funny. I would never like geek out and show you, like, look at this box and like you can open these little things. And yeah, I love that.
I know what I don't talk to you about. I don't talk to you about my workout routines or going to the gym or what my personal records are on bench press or leg lifts or whatever. I never, ever talk to you about that stuff.
No sports, no working out. Let's see. What do we never talk about? Let's think here. I don't really talk to you about cars.
Yeah, you don't talk about cars much.
We don't talk about cars, no. But we have a business client that that on Monday I went to the car museum with him and talked all about cars on Monday and had such a fun time. And so that is a part of my life that I only am that person around certain people, which I think is sort of an interesting thing to think about. Like, if you know me from one place, right, you would think all I talk about is cars, right? And if you know me from another place, you would never even hear me mention anything about that. So
with this question, which is just one simple question, what do we always talk about? And in parentheses, what do we never talk about? What's your feeling on, hey, you're starting to ask these questions of people in your community, and do you feel like, hey, at some point, could you discover that there's this whole part of my life and I don't talk about it with anybody? Does that happen?
Yeah, that happened. That happened last week about something. And it was just a very funny, I never talk about healing work that I do. That's not something that I ever discuss with anybody for any reason. It doesn't mean I don't do it. It doesn't mean I don't want to do that as a profession, but I do that when called for. And, but I never talk about it at all. So could I? I could talk about it, but I just don't. And so I think there is an element of things that you feel like are your own, your own private life, right? Your own private Idaho, right? Like your own little piece of you that is not for public consumption. And
as long as that works for you. I know for me, I don't feel like I should have any area of my life that no one knows about. There should be no one person that knows everything, because no one person can be my everything for that's not really even healthy. But if there's no one area of my life that no one has ever known about, I don't talk about, whether it's good or bad or indifferent, then I think that's something that I'm always examining, which is why I like this question. And to me, the same is in finance, especially if you're in partnership with somebody like your spouse or a partner. And if you're saying, we don't talk about accounts receivable, we don't talk about the taxes that we have to pay, we don't talk about the debt that we're holding, or we don't talk about even our 5-year plan. We don't talk about personal budgets. One of the first things we do with our clients is you say, hey, we're going to need to see your personal budget, because you say that you need $250,000 to live, but we're going to need to confirm that, because what we don't want to do is build in a whole corporate structure for somebody and they're like, well, no, we actually really need 350. Well, yeah, but that's now going to be very difficult. So asking those questions, having somebody that you trust, and maybe that's a whole nother conversation. How do we find people? How do we create trust with people? Or how does that trust reciprocally go? How do you manage that? Or do you care?
No, I don't too much. I noticed that lately, none of the women in my life ever talk about money. We'll talk about everything else before we talk about money. So I've been bringing to the conversation about investing. Even if I don't know very much about it, which is awkward because sometimes I don't want to talk. I'm smart and I want to talk about things I feel smart about. So, but I've been bringing to the conversation about investing. And does anyone else want to learn? And hey, look at my Bitcoin. It went up, it went down, it went up, it went down. Do you feel emotional when you invest money and it does something different for the day? So I think that's been the realm I've been playing in, especially around money lately.
Why do you think women don't talk about money? Why is that? I mean, women are empowered now. They've got millions of dollars. They're boss babes. Why don't they talk about money with each other?
Because they don't have any modeling for it.
What do you mean?
You couldn't even get a credit card without your husband's permission until a few decades ago.
That's been a minute.
It hasn't been that long, so there's no model for it. They didn't see their moms talk about money.
Oh, I see.
Right?
I see.
They certainly didn't see their grandmothers talk about money.
Why wouldn't they? Oh, I see.
With
so
one another. They might have talked to their
spouse,
spouse, but they certainly didn't talk to their girlfriend, because it would have talked. I mean, I think some of it is very honorable, right? Like you wouldn't, when the man was more the provider in the house, you wouldn't have talked about money with your girlfriends necessarily, because it would have maybe brought shame or also envy. Like that's a whole different conversation, right?
The whole female conversation about statusizing, and now you revealed something about your weaknesses, which we never do in the female.
No. Yeah. And it's become more popular in culture, I would say now, to be very to show your status, right? As far as, handbags and luxury items and things like that. But I would say I'm very careful about that, because I think it's very divisive. I love good design, but I'm very cautious about you don't ever really notice things like that in my life, because I'm much more cautious about thinking through who will be in the room, and am I wearing sneakers that, are the same amount of money as their, budget for something for the month, right?
Well, besides the fact that all those big designers, they have the designs that say Christian Dior and all the other big things for all the poor folks that they can milk money out of. Right. And all the rich folks, they're all super simple, well made, but super simple with no designs on them. You're like, okay, I kind of see what this is about.
Right. Yeah.
So you've been doing this a while, being a woman, and talking to or not talking to your women community, your female community about money. What's the most important thing? And obviously you're my business partner in a structure, in a corporate structuring company. What is the most important thing you think women should be talking about?
Retirement.
Retirement?
I remember when we first started doing business together, you asked me about my retirement plan. And I literally thought, I don't think about that. Like, it's not even something that's even in my awareness. I do things I love every day, so I don't think about not working. So you literally are like, wait, you're going to keep working for how many years? And I'm like, all the years. And I thought it was very funny that when I asked girlfriends, all of them didn't really think about retire. I think retirement lives in the land of men a lot of times. And I don't necessarily think, not just like we're not talking about investments, I don't even think we're talking to ourselves about retirement.
Well, so is that because underneath it all, if you're single, sure, that in the back of your mind, you're like, some man somewhere will take care of me? Or if you're married, that the man that I have will?
I think that was an idea. I think it was an idea we grew up with, but I don't necessarily think that most people, it's not that it's not possible for that to happen. It's not probable for that to happen. And also, I think the more conscious you get, you realize you would rather have your partner for a longer period of time than have him kill over dead from a heart attack, from making sure that he could provide, right? I think I think it's becoming more and more common for there to be a conversation about that his health and well-being are important. And I don't know that was a conversation happening in the 80s. I think men were a little bit in a different headspace about that. So I think that's one of the beautiful things that's been evolving lately, is that they're more like, yeah, I need more rest time. I need more downtime. I think I need more time with friends. I think there's less, not that the hustle culture is still not important, is still not a part of our life. But I think there's now some space opening up around that.
One of my favorite TV shows, there was a quote in there, and some woman who's, found her man. Now she's like, before I found so-and-so, it was all about, how do I find him? How do I keep him? How do I make him do what I need him to do? And now all I care about is, how do I keep him alive longer?
Right.
And to me as a man, that feels so stupid, because I'm just going to speak personally, what I want to do, I'm here to provide, man. I'm here to protect and provide and create safety and create all of those things. It's my honor to do that. It's my privilege to be able to have, at least here at my age, a physical body and a brain that still works to be able to do it. And for us, I'm going to speak personally, not us men, me, man, I feel like the more I can generate to put away into the safe, the money bags of retirement and or generational wealth, doesn't matter what happens to me. Y'all good. Family's good. Wife good. Children, grandkids, all good. The more I can pack in there, the better off it is. And if I die doing that, that's noble, honorable, and great. Just, in fact. Isn't that bizarre? And you're like, no, screw that. Let's just have you live longer and have less retirement. I know, but somewhere in there, somebody's got to pay the bills.
Yeah, I understand that. I just think that we're starting to have a balance shift around that. I don't know.
But back to your question, back to your conversation of women not thinking about retirement. Is there a logic or a thought process around why that is? Because for me over here as a man, I'm like, I remember that conversation with you well. I'm like, huh? You've worked with billionaires. What? How can you have? So help me understand why is there another sentiment to that?
I don't know. I don't think that much about aging, but maybe that's just me. So I certainly didn't think like you. I remember you were doing the math, and I was thinking, wow, this is crazy. I don't think about it this way. Like, I think about what'll light me up when I get up in the morning, and what will I want to go do, and what will be fun for me. And
we have a mutual friend who I had a multi-month conversation with about this. I'm like, you're 60 years old, working full-time at a job that you hate. Are you still going to be working at this job when you're 70? And she's like, well, no. I'm like, 65? Well, no. 62? Maybe. Do we have an exit strategy for this? Well, no. So it does feel like a big black hole in the future. It seems like what you're saying is now time for the feminine, I'm going to say, not just the female, but maybe the feminine is very present, very real, and things are good, then that's great. But future time is like, I don't know, somehow that'll work out magically. Am I getting that, or is there something else?
I think so. And I think also just, you know, thank God I have a job I like, right? Like maybe if I had a job I hated and I was watching the clock every day, I might be more inclined to be in the conversation about retirement. But I
Mm.
have a job I like. I can't imagine. I don't know what I would do all day. Like that's the other thing. You're like retirement. I'm like, that sounds terrible. Like you want me to sit around and do what all day? Watch
Uh,
TV? I don't even do that now. Like how is this going to work out? So I think I would just find something else to do that filled my days and made some money. And I don't
sure,
know. Yeah.
for
Having
sure.
lived all the different levels of life, I've been wealthy, and I've been completely like homeless broke. I don't know if I care that much. I care the bills get paid. I care I can be generous when I want to be generous. Everything else doesn't seem that interesting to me. So, but
So if retirement is not on the table for women to have a conversation, it's a foregone conclusion then that generational wealth is definitely not in the conversation.
no, yeah, that definitely changed. That's been changing more because my daughter has a 2-year-old now. So now I do
Mm.
think about that more. I'm like, oh, that's what we were supposed to be working on. I forgot about that part. So so I jokingly started buying lottery tickets when she got pregnant, and she was like, "Why now?" And I'm like, "Well, because he'll need a pony." Right? Like I didn't need money like that before. Like now I want pony money, right? Like have a pony money. So um, yeah,
So
I
in a
think that
part,
changes. Yeah.
so in the conversation, the vernacular of women, there's if I get to go back to what you were saying earlier, we don't talk about money. We don't talk about retirement and maybe generational wealth if there's actually a generation that's coming or building. Like, oh, I do have a grandkid or I do have a child. So what's in your opinion, what's the best so if the most important thing that women need to be talking about is retirement, what's the best way for them to start that conversation?
I think the conversation about investment is the best way to start that. So whether or not what just pick something to learn about.
So
And
say more about that, like what example?
whether it's stocks or, crypto or commodities or gold, just pick something and start there. Um, and I get curious about that thing, right?
Mm.
I'd get willing to be not smart about that thing, right? And maybe to even look foolish, right? Like this is. I think money is an area I certainly know about taxes. Like I definitely when we first started our business, I don't know anything about my taxes. I just give them to the man, and then he just returns me a package, and I haven't the foggiest idea really what happened. So now I'm at least curious, right? I don't know that I have all the knowledge yet, but I am curious. Like,
Mm.
what was going on over there? So this year I even did some of my own forms. I was like, look at me, like doing forms. So, right. But yeah, I think to bring it back around, I think curiosity and investing is a great place to start. And there's some really cool new businesses that more cater to women. Out in the world now. And but yeah, even if it's just you and a girlfriend and the Bitcoin, right? And watching and learning about how it moves and what days it moves and how the history of Bitcoin and why it is that this is something you might want to consider. You know, I love it. Yeah.
Well, actually, it's good. It's interesting you brought that up because I still belong to a trading group of like 300-400 people, and they primarily do crypto, but they do options and all kinds of other things. And the group's DCG, and there are women who band together, knowing that they want empowerment for themselves around finances, and have chosen a particular investment vehicle, whether it's options, futures, crypto, whatever. And they all get assigned tasks. You find out this, and we're going to bring it back next week. And then we're going to learn, we're going to bring in experts to come talk to us. And these women are making money hand over fist. So it's not that at all women can't do it naturally. And in fact, the markets are the only non-racial, gender, religious. I mean, there is no scrutiny of any of those things. There's none of it because they'll take your money and give you money no matter what you do, who we are. So I really appreciate the idea that, of having the conversation for investment and retirement and just money in general. Hey, how do we build security for ourselves? And in the female community, Certainly it's been going on in the male community for a long time. And, that it is one of the places where the patriarchy, I don't particularly like the word patriarchy, but it is where the patriarchy runs the show for sure. And, women don't ring the market for the bell every morning. It's usually been men historically. So to have that dominance, I've seen it done, and it's currently being done. And it just takes a little help and motivation to go, hey, this is important. We should have this. This is a conversation we should have all the time. It should enter into that curiosity of that first question, which is, what do we talk about all the time? We always talk about Bitcoin.
I love that idea. Well, if we have time for two more questions, we have two more very interesting questions.
That was just one question. Wow. That's how powerful these questions are. Just being curious. I love it.
The other question that I ask sometimes of people, especially when there's been maybe a disagreement or maybe a difference of opinion about something, is what can you count on me for? And so I'll answer what I count on you for. How about that? That's a good. You could do it the other way too. I definitely count on you for knowing all about finances and stability and having emotional sobriety around finances and taxes and legacy planning, for sure. I can count on you for your intuition and your spiritual nature about you. Well, I think you don't necessarily talk to a lot of people about that. You actually have a lot of that as a gift. I can count on you to know reasonably what's going on in the news and world affairs. You don't necessarily do that every single day, but if there's something I feel like it's important and I might need to get a second opinion about, should we be preparing in some bigger form or fashion? I definitely count on you for that. Probably more than anybody else I know, actually. I count on you for, hey, I have an idea. What do you think about that? Right. And for all kinds of ideas. Right. So, yeah. How about that?
That's pretty good. Thank you. That's very generous. There's a bunch of things I count on you for, because I can get in the weeds of darkness and difficulty, and I can always count on you to go, these are weeds. This is not a forest. These are just weeds. Stand up. See, not so bad now. You always have a positive mental attitude about things for which I usually don't. So that's super helpful. You're always going to remind me. I can count on you that you always remind me of who I really am, not who the torture chamber inside my head tells me I am. We all have a torture chamber in here, and it's easy to listen to it. And we should never listen to the torture chamber that's going on in here. We should listen to the people who we trust and we care about. And you're definitely one of those people. And so you're always reminding me who I am and what I deserve, which is not always present to me. I can always count on you for good ideas about kind of anything, because I can count on you for how your mind works in a way that's counterculture, counter fairness. Even your mind works it doesn't matter if it's fair, but here's what's possible. It doesn't have to be equal. It can be this and this. If we can make it work, we can make it work. So, and I can also count on you to generate beauty everywhere.
Thank you. I love that. Mm-hmm. Let's see what you can't count on me for. Well, I can beat you to the punch on that one. Being on time.
That's for sure. No, I should say I can count on you to not be on time. Yes.
I know. The clock is just not really my friend. We're not really, we know each other. We're acquaintances. We see each other on a daily basis, but we aren't really in good relationship with one another. So,
yeah.
Yeah.
That's funny. I was surprised that you didn't say that was one of the things you count on me for.
It is. You're always on time. You're actually just always early. So if you're late, something has gone terribly awry and wrong if you're actually late, because you're just. There
was a time at which we had one of our mastermind sessions where we have a bunch of our clients come together and we answer questions for an hour. And I was actually out with my girl cooking barbecue. I completely spaced it. And I think it was only 2 minutes into the session, 2 minutes. And Sterling's like, we have this right now. Because she knew if I was 2 minutes late, like the world was coming to an end or something, I completely lost my mind. So, and that's what had happened. I completely spaced it because I was having a grand old time barbecuing. So I, rushed in. So I appreciate that.
For sure. I have a dog barking. I'm so sorry.
Yeah,
he wants to be on. He wants to be on camera. This is the trouble with living in Hollywood. Everybody wants to be on camera. So,
even the dogs.
Even the dogs. Well, this has been.
I'll just finish with these questions that we've talked about. The idea of being curious. And we may need to do more of this because it's so powerful. We've filled up an entire podcast just pretty much with just one of those questions. And if you apply those questions, something as simple as what can you count on me for? That one's pretty innocuous. But then if you really want to dig deeper, not only into your relationship, but into your finances, like in your partner, what can you not count on me for? What do I never provide? For men, that can be very confronting. But if you have an egalitarian kind of, we're all in this together, let's actually be curious, not you're bad for not providing. That's not the context. The context of curiosity is one of inquiry. Oh, let's find out. It's an adventure to find these things out. Then you can discover all manner of things that were never going to be, they were just going to be under the surface, creating upset or not the results you want instead of the results that you want. So I really appreciate you bringing these questions to us.
Yeah, for sure. I think the other thing you find out is the things you can count on people for sometimes just have a back of the hand, right? Like I have a world that is very beauty oriented, right? As far as my home, as far as the way that even small things like how I prepare breakfast, right, is beauty oriented, which lends itself to not necessarily be in the time conversation, right? I'm not necessarily like there's 15 minutes to get beauty and breakfast oriented together, right? So beauty is a very timeless experience. So it makes sense that the front of the hand, the back of the hand would have like, oh, if I love this about this person, there's going to be this other thing about this person, right? Like,
yeah,
we have a great friend who's a brilliant artist, and that means that he has a lot of alone time because that's how brilliant art gets made, is a lot of times in solitude and in working through it and thinking through it and muscling through it. Like it just requires the balance of like going diving for the pearls, right? To come up and have this beautiful treasure. So I love this. Yeah. This is super fun. We're going to have some more conversation about curious questions.
Yeah.
For sure.
And for men, she was talking about beauty and the idea that beauty and time they really repel each other. And for us, we're like, why can't beauty be in concert with time? Because beauty is timeless. If you're involved with beauty, whether you're an artist, and still write music. When you're writing music, it's very difficult when you know you have a time limit. You're like, I have to create a whole different non-beauty oriented set of algorithms in my heart and brain to be able to deliver great, beautiful music on time. And that doesn't mean that it is my actual beauty creative voice. It is a algorithmic voice. And the same thing with men and women. If you're going to force your woman to be beautiful in a time, hey, we got to leave, or make the kitchen beautiful, we got 2 weeks, or there's a difference between creating safety and creating, it has to be done by this. You're not going to get beauty. You're not going to get her intuitive, innate beauty. You're going to get something like it, but you're going to force her to be far more masculine to get that beauty to happen in your time frame as a man. And I promise you need to organize yourself and create a container for the women in your life, not just your love, but your daughter, your grandma, your mom, your coworker, that if beauty is involved, if you're invoking beauty, you cannot invoke time, or at least give a loose framework. But then as a man, what you do is you hold integrity anyway. You hold it anyway and see what shows up. You don't say, you got 3 more minutes. No, that's not what you do. But as the man, the rock, the masculine, and sometimes women masculine, if you can hold the container for it's still going to be within the integrity that we've created, you find magic. And that's maybe a whole nother podcast right there.
I love it. I love it. It's always fun connecting with you, and I'm so glad we got to talk about this today. And,
Seriously.
Yeah. And so, to some more great conversations.
That's right. And until then, be wealthy.